My name's David Rosen. Welcome back to the podcast for a special edition here with the great Nathan Stuck. You'd like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, Nathan Stuck. Let's see. Founder, Chief Impact Strategist at Profitable Purpose Consulting, now a division of Dharma. Founder and Executive Director of Be Local Georgia. Founder and Executive Director of Build Southeast, the big regional B Corp mission-driven business conference. And then we're a bunch of boards, Minority Business Nonprofit Association. I'm also now officially on the board of the Athens Homeless Coalition.
Oh, wow.
Is that it? I think that's about it.
So a little background. The way I know Nathan is I'm getting my hair cut in all places down in the good old hood. And I look out and I said, there's just a guy picking up trash by himself. So my first thought is, maybe this community service guy has gone a little off the beaten path, you know, maybe the officer's coming, but no. I go out and it's just a guy doing the Lord's work, and turns out, boom, it's Nathan. I was so impressed to see someone, you know, there are no cameras around like there are now. It's just a random Saturday. I was so impressed to see someone authentically practicing what they preach, trying to make the world a better place, to no financial benefit of their own and no gain. So I said, Nathan, I just really want the opportunity to talk to you. So now we're here live. He's already 3 bags deep, and we're gonna follow him and ask some questions. So I'm gonna transition to behind the camera while we ask, because we gotta move and get this going. My first question to you is gonna be, how did you first get into, you know, your love for sustainability and impact, and what it was like the real first move you made to actually start doing, you know, the actual work you're doing today? How did you get to where you are?
I mean, I think on multiple fronts too. You got the actual like paid work side, like the sustainability side of like what I do for a living. That came out of a B Corp project during my MBA with AdVic, and I went to work for AdVic, and then I was the B Corp guy, and then I was Director of Culture and Strategic Impact, and I started kind of like nerding out in the B Corp community. And it's just introduced me to like a million awesome people. And then there's always been a bit of Dr. Bharadwaj. It's so weird to call him Sundar, where you're like, can I call you by your first name? Yes, I can.
You've earned it.
I've also learned that if a doctor, if they end their email Dr. Bharadwaj, you continue to call him Dr. Bharadwaj. If they end it Sundar, you can start calling it. I had a professor friend tell me that. So the more you know. But his words have always like been in my head of like, align it with the brand, whatever you're doing. And so as my work's evolved, it's evolved beyond just B Corp. It's evolved a lot more into like social impact strategy, design. And so a lot of that is branding, culture, employee engagement. It's all the employer brand, the external facing brand. It's combining all of those things into like, what do we design? So even for me, my love of trash, like trying to figure out like, how do I tie this back to my brand so I can use it on social media? And so I came up with like our give back strategy of 10 bags for every new client. Joke's on you, I wish I had enough clients to account for, that fly keeps landing on me. I wish I had the joy of the live shot. But I wish I had enough clients to account for all the bags that I'll pick up this year. But again, tie it back to the brand. So like the book came out with Sundar, and like, it's just kind of, I don't know, whenever I speak, I can hear his words like coming out of my mouth, as far as like, he gets it. And I think I'm one of the few people in the purpose-driven space who's like beating this drum very loudly of like, it's great to do it because it's the right thing to do. It's more important to do it. Okay, it's very important to do it because it's the right thing to do, but if we cannot make it financially sustainable, companies will not do it or continue to do it, or the companies doing it the best will go out of business. So we have to figure out this marketing piece, this branding piece that gives you the brand differentiation piece of the equation to actually set your business up for success. Because as we scale, and we don't like to talk about profit, as we scale profit, as we scale revenue, we can scale our impact. If it's 1% for the planet, or whatever your commitment, donation amount is, or your charitable amount. If we have 10 people volunteering, now we have a team of 30. Like, all of that will scale with the business. So figuring out how to make this financially viable is like the secret sauce that, again, we're afraid to talk about, but in reality, like, it's okay to make money.
Yeah, and we definitely will talk about that. The first thing I want to do is bring it back all the way to the basics, right? So for someone who's just stumbled upon this video, they're saying, this guy's talking about business, he's talking about sustainability.
He's holding a bag of trash.
Yeah, he's holding a bag of trash. Like, what's going on? Okay, first off, what is a B Corp and how is it different from a standard business setup?
B Corps are, so you can still be an LLC, you can still be a corporation, a public benefit corporation. From a tax standpoint, it's a corporation. It means that you're serving all your stakeholders and it's legally embedded into your incorporation or your LLC articles. Where B Corp comes in is it's an actual certification, so you actually have to go through an assessment from an independent third party, B Lab, to get certified. So you put in all your data, and they're about to advance the standards in January of 26. So it's going to get even more rigid. But essentially, you have to prove all of these claims that you make.
Give me an example of a claim.
Well, we give back. I mean, we're talking real generic, like some of the stuff you see on websites. We care about the community.
Right.
Like, even I would say going one step further with B Lab, like if you claim that we give 3% of our revenue every year to charity. Cool, prove it.
Right.
Where are the receipts? Show me the receipts. So like when you go through the verification process, I tell clients, like, if you can't prove it, you do not do it. That's the way B Lab's going to look at this. And people are like, but we just don't track it. I'm like, well, that's a great exercise, because now I'm getting back into the marketing piece. Let's start tracking it, because if we track it, we have data. I know exactly how many bags I've picked up this year. I know exactly what the weight is. I know how many tons I've picked up. So now when I'm telling the marketing story, it's got a little bit more than like what I used to do, which is just like, here's a picture of me picking up trash. Right. Now when I can post, I can be like, we're over 4 tons for the year. So it makes a more compelling story. So like the process, while rigid and people get really annoyed, but we donate money and we do the things, and the prove it part also forces companies to start tracking and monitoring and measuring, and now we can set goals, now we can improve. And also I think it forces companies to also like revisit, like, what is my strategy? So that certification it's a pain in the ass, like it really is. So anybody that's got it, and you can say there's greenwashing, you can say that you're not faking your way through B Corp. Did
right.
Somebody maybe have a 78 that snuck in at an 82, you need 80 to certify? Possibly. But
at its core, if you get a B Corp certification, you're above board. You can understand that this company has spent a lot of time and effort to making sure that the sustainability and impact claims they're claiming have been verified by this independent third party.
Yes, and you didn't need to spend 18 to 36 months to greenwash.
Right.
Like, that's, I mean, it's very rarely is it less than like an 18-month endeavor.
Oh, 100%. Okay, for question 2, let's get into the action. Let's get moving.
Yeah, I already cleaned up over here.
Right.
Unfortunately.
No, I'll walk and follow you.
As evidenced, I already cleaned up over here.
Okay. Question number 2. So, what I'm most interested in is explaining to people the dynamic and the basically connection of profit and sustainability.
Ooh.
You know, there is so many claims in the marketing space of greenwashing, of the idea that almost everything a company says and company does is to fundamentally make money and nothing else, and everything else is but a marketing scheme. So at Profitable Purpose Consulting, how do you show that companies can functionally do both? Because I believe that if done correctly, it can be a net benefit for society. That companies can actually increase profit margins and increase their sustainability and impact margins as well.
Well, I think you're seeing it. Like, there's so many statistics and like pieces of data. And Sour Patch Kids wrappers, where like good business is good for business. Learn this trick. It's much easier to put it in the bag this way.
You got a pro.
Also, once in a while, just use your hands. Sit here with the grabber. You're already washing your hands when you're done with this. You know, there's a ton of data on, you know, this being good for business, but I say look no further too than like multinationals and these big corporations that have stockholders and have to make, you know, payroll for 50,000 employees. Like, there still is a fiduciary duty in a lot of these companies it has to make financial sense to invest in something like B Corp or to invest in a charitable giving program. So when you start to see companies like, and again, don't cancel me for saying Nespresso. I know that there's warts in their past, but to see a company that big and that multinational going after B Corp certification, it's like, they're not doing it unless there's financial proof that this is going to be a good investment for their business.
And financial proof beyond the, oh, look at all this great press we're going to get for
Correct.
looking like we're doing something
There are numbers on your employee retention, on talent recruitment, on engagement rates. They have done the internal math to know that this is worth their investment. And usually they do it in a way, I mean, I would love to work with more multinationals because they have bigger budgets, but at the same time, they usually get it. They understand the importance of tying it in with your employer brand, tying it in with your external facing brand. Like, they get how to get the ROI out of it. But again, like, even the fact that you see, I got eyes, I never miss a straw. Even the fact that you see, like, companies greenwashing. Companies are greenwashing because they know they have to do this. They have to, like, they're not doing it well, but they understand like the financial impetus to pretend like they care.
Another thing, super basic for everybody. What is greenwashing, and what are your general opinion on it?
It's a great question. Loaded answer. So greenwashing is when a company claims to be super awesome and it's football season. Natty like cans. When they claim to be something super awesome, and in reality, they're not any of those things. So everything from like, was it several years ago, Keurig had the big thing about like, our K-cups are recyclable, and in reality, most of the time they're not. There's an ad I always include in my lectures for Fiji being green. Like, I forget what the exact ad says, but you're like, it's a plastic bottle of water. Like, the fact that you're claiming to be green is part hilarious, part offensive. But there's also greenwashing where it's super gray. So like, think about hotel companies. Like last time you stayed at a hotel, and they had that little placard. It's like if you care about the environment, like you'll hang your towels back up, or if you're in a hotel and you see the sign that says hang it up and blah, 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 care about the planet, that's great. Do you think the hotel owner really cares? Probably not. Is that greenwashing? I'd argue kind of.
Do you feel like there has to be some sort of systematic thing you're doing to justify? Like if I run a coffee shop and I don't do anything special, but all over it I have things like care about the planet, make sure you recycle, but I'm not doing anything to make it easier for you to do this or facilitate
take that shit off the walls.
Is that
Well, it's kind of like you go to a hotel, you know, they have the trash can with the recycle bin.
Yeah.
And it's attached to the trash bin, and they put one bag, and then there's a divider. Yeah. So you think that the housekeeping staff's going in and pulling no, they're just pulling that divider out, putting the whole thing in the landfill. Like, that annoys me. The towel example, though, like, at the end of the day, whether we're trying to save energy, whether we're trying to save what, like, for them, it's a financial driver that saves on housekeeping costs, detergent, water, energy, all of those things. But if it also means, like, if you tug at my heartstrings a little bit to remind me that it is really wasteful, that I don't wash my towel every single day at home, if you remind me of those things, then like, and you get to save money, then we found like the financial win-win there. You know what I mean? Like, we found so in a weird way, it's like a, who gives a shit? I hate to say that, but like, and I'm kind of like a lone wolf sometimes, I feel like, in the B Corp community and the mission-driven community, where it's like, we have this like ideological purity test for like, how pure are your intentions? I can't get that, I'm too old to climb hills like that. Sorry, there's a bunch of trash up there, and I'm like, can I do it? No, because then I'll eat it on camera. But like, you know, like, it's okay if the driver is financial. Like Ray Anderson from Interface, the carpet company, and there's that Ray Anderson Institute at Georgia Tech.
Yep.
he knew for them to be sustainable, they had to figure out how to make it profitable. And it was near and dear to his heart to be sustainable. But he understood that, like, hey man, we've got investors, we can't just sink money into this if there's no. So that was their mission though, was that they went into, we're going to be sustainable, and then the objective is how do we make sustainability, like how do we form the business strategy around being a sustainable company. And I think well, I won't say his quote, but basically it was, we're going to use this to destroy them boys up in Dalton, where all the carpet's made. And you're like, but that was like, he realized the competitive advantage, but he also realized that, like, we have to figure out a way to make this a monetary thing. Like, we have to figure out a way to make this profitable.
Oh, 100%. I want to actually have a quick touch on the idea of purity testing. You know, as someone who cares about, you know, the environment, about social impact, I feel like sometimes we get so caught up in making sure that your intentions are pure that it gets in the way of getting the work done. Yes. Do you feel like this is an issue you run into as part of the community, and kind of what's your stance on it? Are you more about the why or about the what?
I hate the ideological purity tests. Like, I'm about driving outcomes. So, I mean, you could say the same thing about some of the like the rolling back of DEI. Like, I'm less about what you say and more about if you're getting the work done. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's that, like, do we die on this hill? Do we still say DEI? Do we change what we call this office? Like, if you're still doing the work, I'm still here for you. Because if you get completely shut down and you lose all your funding, we're not doing the work anymore. And it's so same thing with kind of the, like, some of the sustainability stuff, and some of this is like, I'm not here to ideological purity test you. Like Nespresso too. Like, dude, any company that's been around for more than 30 years, I love you, GA. Don't start opening closet doors from before 1967 in that anywhere on that campus. You're not gonna like what you see, but like, I can't change anything about the past. I can't change what Nespresso did or didn't do, or the claims about, like, you know, child labor or slave labor and stuff in their supply chain. I can't change that, but what I can do is cheer them on that they're doing B Corp, and now the future of that company. You're not gonna cancel Nespresso. You know, we're not gonna cancel the University of Georgia. So how do we think about this differently? Like, I can be a part of the next, I'm 42, I've got, hopefully another good 40 productive years, and then maybe 8 sitting around reading the paper. But like, the next 40, I've spent the last 10 years of my life at UGA and doing this work. Like, I can continue to build on this shit, and like what the future of UGA is going to look like in the next 40 years, and then beyond my lifetime, I can completely change. So losing this purity test is like something that I'm so adamant about, because I think we scare people away. And we're just so busy, like, if you didn't do it perfectly, like me with all the trash. I know I'm ranting and tangenting, but like, I have met a lot of our homeless community. I have made friends. I take bags. I bring a little cash. I bring some food. I may or may not buy them beer every once in a while. Like, but like my little intersection of where I clean up trash, there's a good population there, and like, I've now decided to join the Athens Homeless Coalition, and like, I went and met with the captain of the Salvation Army, and I had a friend who was like, do you know everything about the Salvation Army? I'm like, yes, I know that they were never like the most LGBTQ friendly. It's a religious organization, and they said a bunch of stuff in the 80s. Got it. Heard. But in Athens, Clarke County, there's nobody doing a better job of getting the homeless off of the streets into stable housing, you know, providing all the services they need for some of these people to get clean, to get mental health services, to get into housing, to stay in housing, than the Salvation Army. So which one do I care about more? You know, and that's, I think, where we get into this. It becomes a very hypocritical argument of like, well, I want, you know, the same person will yell at me to say unhoused instead of homeless is the same person who wants me to not work with the Salvation Army. And you're like, at what point is this all? At
what point is this not even doing a net
ridiculous?
Anymore, right?
Yes.
One of my favorite quotes is that perfect is the enemy of better.
Yes.
You know, sometimes we get so caught up in doing things the perfectly right way that we're spending all our time with semantics, and we're not out in the field getting stuff done. And that's one 100%. Of the things that really inspired me the most about you. It's one thing to go online and watch his TED Talk, which you should do.
Yes, please. Give me some views.
But
Let's go.
it's very different to see someone so actively out in the community living what they preach and trying their best. I think a perfect example is we just showed there was a couple of extra pieces of trash way up in this, hilly area, and it was past a bunch of brush. And it's like, yeah, there's someone who's going to go in the comments and say,
Didn't get it.
he didn't get it, He's doing this for show. It's not authentic. But it's like sometimes you can pick up 99 pieces of trash and no one seems to care about anything but the one you missed. And it's like if we all were just doing our little part, doing half of a third.
Somebody half my age can climb that hill.
Exactly. How do you think it got there in the first place?
Yeah.
It's like I just think it's great to just do our little impact.
Well, and I think there's an element of what you said though, like the people that will say, oh, he didn't pick it up, oh, it's for show, like, hey, I got a spreadsheet, I can show you how many bags I got. Also, I got calluses on my grabber hands. I can show you that as well. I can also tell you the greatest hits of the things I've found, including right down here in the bushes, and I won't go into details.
I was gonna say, give me a couple safe for work ones.
We'll just say newspaper that was used as toilet paper. Also the thing that you need toilet paper for, syringes, everything. I found everything. And it's helped me understand the depths of, even up here, there's a tent on top of this hill. It's the Chabad house. There's a tent up there, and like, you can't have like the Shabbat dinners in the back because people come and hang out under the tent, and then so we've cleaned it multiple times, the rabbi and I. He told me it's my mitzvah. It's very honored. But yeah, I think there's an element though of like, we're too busy criticizing the people doing the work, and then you turn around and it's like, I ask people sometimes, I'm like, and I said this, I had a conversation about like with some friends that are probably more to the left of me around, and we're talking about woke and DEI and stuff, and I said, like, honestly though, like, you've read the books, you've taken the classes, you've done the foundations of, if I ask you to open up your wallet and show me your receipts, what's in there? And I think that's the part of like this ideological purity test that bothers me, is like, until you can show me some receipts, like I came up with my own little quote the other day, like, everybody's entitled to an opinion, but you have to earn the right for me to want to hear it. And so I think there's an element.
I will be stealing that.
And also, like, coming back to the trash thing, Chad actually was the one that got this through to me. My brother Chad Livesey, look him up, Chad Livesey Project, Come Clean USA. Anyway, like, he and I became, like, I went to one of his cleanups after I was cleaning up, and I was like, I see this dope dude on LinkedIn, I got to go hang out with him. And I went down to Snellville, we cleaned up together, and now we're like, literally, I'd count him as one of my best friends. And he told me, like, because I used to struggle to, like, I don't even want to walk because I got to walk past trash, and like, or if I walk fast, I'm going to miss some of it. I can only get so much. I need to be somewhere in 30 minutes. And he was like, dude, even to get, if you get 3 bags of trash, but you miss 2 bags of trash, it's still 3 bags of trash that you got out of the street.
Exactly.
So yeah, you didn't get the other 2, but there were going to be 5 bags. Now there's only 2 there. Like, celebrate that as a win, because also you can't get anything. I'd be out here. I even drove home the other day, and I went up this hill from after I left Browns. And I was up the hill. I was trying to scout out where we were going to pick up, and I'm like, we could go all the way to Millage right now.
We got plenty.
But then it's like, I know that if we cross Millage, we can keep going, and then we can turn right. And then we can come back, and like I just kind of pick you. Chad told me just always a lot of amount of time. Like today, what's our cutoff? Georgia football game. That's my allotted amount of time.
Go Dogs. I actually want to take a quick beat and kind of bring back to what you were talking about the homeless community. I spent 7 years living in Los Angeles.
Ooh.
And I lived everywhere in Los Angeles, from downtown to some of the nicer areas like Santa Monica, and it was the most eye-opening experience to understanding the true, if you want to understand wealth inequality, spend a week in LA. It's unbelievable, the standard of living one left turn can get you.
Atlanta's getting to that.
Yeah, and it's truly unbelievable. What I just want your opinion on, this is just pure theory. We all know that once homelessness becomes to a certain point, it becomes a very difficult problem to solve. What can communities do to help, like here in Athens, for example? What are some of the work you're seeing done? that helps avoid homelessness getting worse, avoid cyclical homelessness, and just like what are things that people can actively do to benefit, you know, people who don't have homes in their societies?
I mean, I think first and foremost, some of the really great stuff happening with like, was it Downtown Ministries? There's some really good ones that work to get out in front of the people who like lost a job, missed a paycheck, missed rent, got evicted.
Right.
Because that spiral is bad. Like you can go quickly from employed to unemployed to homeless, and then you start adding in now, once you're homeless, you start adding into like, I call it an element of F it. I'm living on this, like I'm gonna get fucked up from sun up to sundown. Like, so then you get into the addiction part, but like if you can nip that first part, it's not gonna save everybody, because there is the mental health crisis, there is addiction, there is all these things. But like if you can get those, like those families, the kids that are living, you know, they're living in a car. I remember 4th of July seeing one next to McDonald's had a U.S. Navy sticker on the back, and I just started crying, where you're like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, how do we get to this point where as a U.S. Navy veteran sleeping in this car? Because I was cleaning up and I realized the windows were down, and I realized he's sleeping in the back seat, and I'm like, what the fuck? And on the 4th of July it hit, but I think that's the biggest part. And then, you know, we can sit here and cry about affordable housing. Yes, we need that. But a lot of these people I meet, I mean, I've been chased off. Shit, over on Minor Street, back behind West Broad, what was the old West Broad Elementary. Chased off by somebody having, I don't know if he's on drugs, having an episode or whatever, told me I was stealing people's stuff. And told me he wasn't asking me to leave, he was telling me to leave. And I just put, and I'm not sitting here trying to like, I'm not fighting in a pile of trash, and B, you're going through it, man. Like I'm not gonna provoke you, I'm not gonna antagonize you. I don't know what's going on in your life. I'm just gonna peacefully, I'm not gonna call the cops and have them escalate something. Like, I'm just gonna leave. But like seeing stuff like that, and the funny part about that is the guy I was talking to before he got there was also on another planet of something, drugs, whatever, talking about his $1 billion hospital bill, and you're just like, and like you realize like the depths of the mental health. And I have had to call the cops. So one time on Hancock, somebody just going through it and just screaming at the sky, and like you realize that there's also a substance abuse issue, there's also a mental health issue, there's so much more happening that affordable housing is not going to solve. Like it is all of these things, not one of these things, that need to be addressed. And I don't know that, I mean, it's one of the reasons I'm joining the Athens Homeless Coalition, is like, I don't know that anybody's, I think it's easy to throw out talking points like, we need more affordable housing to address the homelessness crisis. And I'm like, but it's so much more. We had the opioid crisis, 15 years ago? Right. That we, you know, this is still the tail end of that we had no answer. And then when we crack down on those, fentanyl shows up, and now it's killing people. And so you have this horrible, I mean, they've been doing synthetic heroin for 15 years. Like, you have people, the wires aren't touching anymore. Like, there's just so much more that we need. And then you hear either the solution to like, you know, like there's the Portland, Oregon solution, like just give them free needles, like don't encourage it. And then you have like the other side of the solution, which is like round them all up, right, which you see a lot of cities do, or they basically just like buy them a bus ticket and send them somewhere else, right? And like nobody's really, I don't think we want to have the real conversation about what this is, but at the end of the day, if you go out and you meet some of them and you just sit down and you talk to them and you sit under a tree, have a beer with them, pick up trash with them, like, dude, it's somebody's son, it's somebody's, right, sometimes it's somebody's father, it's somebody's brother, it's somebody, it's a human, and it's life so worth saving.
That's so true. And the saddest thing you'll see, you know, the more time you spend around homeless people, is you'll realize sometimes it only takes about 1 or 2 bad weeks, a couple of bad days, that are the difference between someone who's happily living their middle class life and someone who's on the street. I really like that you touched on cyclical homelessness. You know, there is a point when drugs get involved, when it's been systemic, when you've hit the, you know, the fuck it point where you're just like,
yeah, fuck it.
You've been homeless for too long. But there's that moment where someone loses their job or they lose a key family member and they're spiraling, but they can still be caught. You know, they haven't gotten to the point where they're so far gone where it needs a larger community effort. We're still, you know, the kindness of a few people and just some key businesses and organizations in the community can make massive impacts in reversing the spiral in that person's life. So I really appreciate you touching on that. But
and I think the humanity part is important too. We have to. It's hard, man. I mean, again, when you're getting threatened or you're getting, well, I mean, there's times where I don't put my earbuds in when I'm picking up trash because I'm terrified of. I don't want anybody. I don't want to get jumped. I don't want to but they don't. You don't know. Like you're throwing away a wet, raggedy old book into somebody that's their only belonging.
Right.
And so like you just gotta. I mean, again, it's just even the cleaning up here on top of the hill at the Chabad house. Like it sucks, man. And we're like, yeah, am I throwing away somebody? And I have a general sense now of what's somebody's stuff and what's trash. But like, I don't know. It's just the dignity of realizing like if somebody just came in your home and started throwing your things away. So trying to like do this with some sense of love but again, like walk up and down Hawthorne with me, man. I get, what up, trash man? Yeah. Like I get like, and I mean, we hang out and we talk but also I just want them to, I know most people walk by and just do this, like they don't want to make eye contact. So it's just like,
there's almost a loss of humanity.
Yeah. What's up, man? How you doing? Like they're not going to bite, some of them are a little aggressive downtown, but they're not going to.
And here's, I'll get slightly sexist for a minute. I do believe I have much more empathy for women.
Yeah.
The line between a kind hello and a dangerous situation is a lot more thin. But if you're an able-bodied man, I almost think you have a bit of an obligation to just say, hey, like just a hello. Just treat that person with a little bit of humanity. That might be the only humanity they get that day or that week. And you'd be amazed how the kind of impact you can make in someone's life when they're at that point.
Giving them that moment.
By just giving them a moment of reminding them that they're still a human and they still matter.
And if they slip out, like I remember Chad and Billy were down in Atlanta doing one, and Billy got punched by a woman. And they just crossed the street, man. They're like, we're not gonna fight back. Like, also, like whatever you're going through, like you do realize too that like, I think for a lot of people this could be the worst, it's the worst day of their life.
Yeah.
So I think it teaches you a lot of empathy too, of like getting out and serving. And again, I'm not asking people to go into the places I go into. I wouldn't recommend it until you've done it for a while. Because I mean, again, like I didn't clean up for like a month after I got threatened. Like I was just like, I'm good. Like I was shook up over that, and I'm just trying to do my part, and I'm getting yelled at and threatened. But after a while, you just kind of like maybe, the lesson learned for that one was maybe that was a bridge too far, and maybe show up with a crew.
Right.
And do a group cleanup there, and maybe there's a church right up the hill. Like get the pastor involved. Like get the congregation out. We've done that up in Thompson, Georgia, where like Springfield Baptist Church, where we get the church out, and Pastor Fred came out and helped us. He also challenged us, said we wouldn't find any trash. That was adorable. It's adorable.
No, there's strength.
As I look across the street, I'm like, when do we keep cleaning?
Yeah, you're like, oh, that's it for today? We still got plenty more. Yeah, I always say this, man. It takes very little to keep $5 in cash,
Yeah.
$5 bills.
I did it in New Orleans a couple weeks ago.
And when you walk by and someone says, you got $1, give them one.
Yeah.
I just think you'd be amazed the impact you can make.
Well, I think too, life, like, man. There's an element of it, like encourage, whatever, like I get it. And I get some are aggressive, and I mean, and it is uncomfortable. Like there's times where you just want to be, I mean, I've talked to business owners downtown, like it is like, I just want to be able to go downtown. Like I don't want to, you know what I mean? Like, but there's the balancing of compassion and like, but what's a real situation? Because like, I'll never forget the time we were behind the liquor store on Oglethorpe Package or whatever, not Oglethorpe Package, whatever it is right there on Hawthorne and Oglethorpe, like kitty corner from the CVS. And we were behind it, and Chad and I were picking up all these liquor bottles, like bags, bro, bags of liquor bottles, little airplane minis. And Chad just looked at me and said, isn't this compassionate? We just let these people sit out here and drink themselves to death. And that's when it hit me that like that Portland approach, like that's kind of messed up though. Like here's a needle, like good luck not overdosing. Like,
have you been to Portland?
Yes.
It is
terrifying.
Terrifying. As someone who lived 8 years in LA, Portland is scary.
Yes.
Like,
because it's everywhere. It's not like LA. At least they're like, you guys over here.
Yeah, but
like,
but it's very different. Like even I've volunteered on Skid Row. Like I've seen the depths of LA homelessness. It's a cultural thing. There's still a level of these people are hurting, but they're not aggressive. Like Portland is dangerous.
Yes.
Just walking around regular areas of Portland can be very scary. And in a way, I'm glad that Portland was an experiment of what happens if we just say...
They've righted it. They undid it.
Right, and we had to know. But I also think it's important to try. It's like I don't think we should take the Texas approach of just saying, basically put a gun to people's head and shoot them off somewhere else.
Yes.
There is a line in between.
And if and I hate to say we is like the progressives, the I'm a moderate, whatever. But if we don't come up with a humane solution that addresses this, like, people's patience is wearing thin.
Exactly.
Like, I mean, even in, like, you know, I live in Normal Town, like, and I'll tell people, like, don't leave shoes out on the curb. Like, bring it to the A, there's organizations that are designed to get these things out, but also B, like, there is an element of drug use and theft and things that come with being desperate.
Right.
And like, I'm like, you don't necessarily want to encourage them to come into your neighborhood. And so, but there's that like horrible truth that I have to say that out loud, and that doesn't make me some horrible bad person, but I think people are losing their patience for a, what is the solution when you feel like you're almost being overrun. And there are times where I feel unsafe. There are cleanups I go on where I do not want my wife with me. Right. Like, and we have to be able to say that openly and honestly without that being like a cancelable offense of like, oh, and it's like, but if we don't come up with something, people are going to come up with a solution that is not what we want. It's going to be internment camps.
It's much less humane.
It's going to be old school Milledgeville, like the asylum style, versus like, we probably do need some version of a facility to send a lot of these people to I hate to say force them into rehab, but to get them to clean up, to give them the tools, but also to give them the therapists and the counseling and the things they need to tackle whatever it is the reason that they are escaping in the first place.
Right.
Because there's trauma there. Like, most of these people, if you talk to them, there's trauma. So again, like, we're going to do one in December, and my friend from Atlanta is coming up. She's a trained homeless outreach minister. I'm going to try to get Captain Greenland and his wife from Salvation Army to come with us, and we're going to pick up trash. But then I'm also going to have like an army of some of these outreach ministers and stuff that can at least, hey, let's just at least talk to them, that are trained in how to engage. I'm not going to ask somebody out that volunteered to show up to a cleanup to go do that. But again, just kind of letting them know that people are here and people care about them. And the more, it's kind of up to them to take the next step, but hopefully they see that.
Gotcha. Well, let's wrap it up with this. Let's get back to the business. So
let's go pick up trash and get me picking.
Yes.
I got an itch, man. You see this? Like, standing here with a grabber. We'll talk more Sundar.
Yes. My last question
I'm
for
like,
you.
Nathan's got
Let's say I run a small business, any kind of small business. What's one simple process I can institute to help my business authentically be more sustainable or more impactful in the community?
So I would start with, by the way, I drove by this one the other day. Like, look at this treasure trove. So step one, like, are you measuring it? Like, you know what I mean? Like, because if you're not measuring it, like, then are you really, it's kind of like the B-Lab question, like, are you really doing it? Like, you know what I mean? Like, how are you going to improve something that you have no measurement on, that you have no understanding of? Like, we pick up trash. Great. How much? We want to do better. Okay, well, where are you starting at? Well, we don't know. Okay, well, so I think step one is just to, like, whatever you are doing right now, measure it. And then we can start talking about, like, okay, from there we can set goals. We can figure out where we want to get. But there's an element of, like, until we're measuring it, we can't do anything. And then once we set goals, we can also look at, like, what's our strategy? Like, what are we trying to, A, what are we trying to accomplish? B, what resonates? Coming back to the, growing good business, Sundar, Dr. Bharadwaj conversation is like, how do we design a strategy that is going to get you, I hate to say this, no, I don't hate to say it, it's going to get you paid. Like, how do we design a strategy around your sustainability efforts that makes sense for your brand? And, like, how do we remind people what it is we do, what it is we sell, why employees like to work for us, why customers like to buy from us? Like, how do we do these things? And so I think strategy is an important component that a lot of companies miss in this equation. because they're only looking at, oh, we know we need to do something. And while that's great, and yes, you do, you also have to, there should be some sort of a strategy there. You know what I mean? Like there should be something, like we wouldn't just roll out a marketing strategy and just tell our marketing director to like, well, just throw some things against the wall, see what sticks, which is what I feel like most people do with their impact strategy. So I think really it's understanding that it's an investment in your bottom line. Sorry, there's a cooler back here. Understanding that it's an investment in your bottom line, and it's not just like a line item on the L side of your P&L. Gonna need another bag. It's not just a thing on your P&L that's like, oh, cool. Well, we have to do this necessary evil. So like looking at it, changing the way we look at impact and sustainability as an investment, and that's not even getting into like the risk component of some of these bigger companies of like, some of the actual like ESG risk assessment. It's under a tire. So yeah, I think that's important too, is like, how do we reframe how we look at this as an investment in our marketing spend, an investment in our sales funnel, an investment in our retention strategy, an investment in our recruitment strategy and talent acquisition strategy, like thinking about it like that versus thinking about it like, well, just budget in for next year, 1% of our revenue is going to go to some charity. That's cool. But like, what if we did 1% and we really teamed up with a charity doing like, I think I have some in my back pocket. If we really like teamed up with a charity that made like marketing sense, where we could like collaborate with them, we could do some really, like my old company, it was like Salesforce consulting. So let's find some companies doing some cool stuff in like the STEM field. Let's find some companies, everybody like that's doing some cool stuff to diversify the tech industry. And that's what we did. And it's like, now our employees are engaged because it's Salesforce related and that's what they're passionate about. We're able to have a really cool impact on our industry. But also when we tell marketing stories, now when I still do a little bit of work for them. When we tell marketing stories, it reminds people what it is we do. We do Salesforce. So when we talk about our nonprofit partners and what we do, it's also like, oh, and hey, by the way, yeah, this is what we do. Enjoy. So I think that there's that component of like, so like start with just like the very basics of like, dude, you got to be measuring this. But then like when you're ready, like spend a little bit of money and bring somebody like me in and let's look at the strategy. Like let's think about what we're actually doing and let's have a plan. Otherwise we're just doing shit. You wouldn't do that with your sales funnel. You wouldn't do it with your marketing strategy. You wouldn't do it with HR. I don't know, just show up at UGA and tell them they want to work for us. Like, no, you're going to have flyers. You're going to have a whole thing thought out around your employer brand. So have an impact brand.
Right. And that's exactly what you do. I just want to thank you again so much for the time. To wrap it up, where can people find you? Where can they get the book? If they want to consult with you, or the larger company, where can they find you at?
Yes. So the larger company, so I am Profitable Purpose Consulting, now a division of Karma Dharma. I like basically all the cool social impact and B Corp work I've been doing. I now have a brand team, a strategy team, a culture team. I have all of these experts behind me, SEO, everything. Like we do we are a full service social impact consultancy now. So we can tie all of this in, bring in all your stakeholders and actually help you do something really, really, really powerful, and tie it all together. So karmadharma.ca, they're out of Ontario. I'm now part of Karma Dharma US, KD Georgia as we call it. So you can look me up there. Honestly, I'm on LinkedIn the most. So just LinkedIn, Nathan Stuck. You'll see a picture of a guy in a red jacket. Sorry I didn't wear it today for the podcast.
And what's the name of your TED Talk?
Reimagining capitalism through purpose, with purpose, and on purpose.
Yes, it will be in the link in the description as well.
The book's on Amazon. Happy Monday, Designing Your Dream Career. I'm working on another book with another marketing professor from UGA on sustainable business and basically the ROI of sustainable business. So I'm looking forward. We're talking to a couple publishers right now, so that's in the works. And then I have the podcast, Be the Change Georgia. So we had some guests that you have on where you're like, and this is a podcast where you're like, why are you talking to me? You had to like shake that imposter syndrome a little bit, like Muhammad Massaquoi, like UGA football, like where I'm like, what's up, Mo?
Yeah.
But we had some great guests, some more great guests lined up for 2026, and so yeah, man. But yeah, I think LinkedIn's the best bet. Follow Be Local Georgia, come out to an event, we do quarterly cleanups in Atlanta, quarterly cleanups here. But yeah, man, just hit me up. I don't bite. Happy to talk, even if it's just a question and you're curious. Like, I'm thinking about doing something. Let me know. See if I can help.
100%. Interviewing America. We're wrapping this one up. Let us know who you want us to interview next. Thank you so much, man.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Of course.
And he goes right back to picking up trash.